This was a school in transformation, so we'd gone from a school that was significantly underachieving to a school that was in the top 1% most improved in the country very quickly. But to get to the point that every child had access to knowledge individually, independently, working in groups, and instant. We were looking at a learning revolution. And again, the iPad was the absolute right vehicle for that.
In terms of behaviour statistics, in the 3 months following the rollout, compared to the 3 months in the previous year, sanctions in the whole school fell by 56%.
Quite often the children who would have given up in learning halfway through a lesson are now really flying.
What was interesting were that the sanctions of the economically disadvantaged pupils who'd received the devices through pupil premium funding, their sanctions fell by 72%.
So children from poor backgrounds, for example, or who have got any level of barrier or disadvantage, they're accessing the learning much more.
We had a 3-week time window to deploy 1,700 devices for every single pupil and staff member.
From an infrastructure point of view, we had to go 100% wireless.
There was obviously lots of pre-planning meetings with Hove Park and ourselves to make sure that every step of the process of the deployment of the iPads just worked. We had a nice step-by-step process for the pupils to collect their iPads. Pupils then went on to a class afterwards to kind of show them how to use the iPad, video mirroring, and kind of best practices on using the iPad themselves. One of the ways for us to make sure that everybody's on the same level playing field is the Mdm System. It shows us what software is on people's iPads, it shows us the version of iOS they're running on each of the iPads. So should some pupils be out of sync or on an older version, the school can follow those individual pupils up and ask that they do an upgrade.
As a teacher, I had no idea what you do with an iPad in a lesson. How do you incorporate that? What does teaching with an iPad actually look like? Craig from JTRS came in and he would share with us examples of work that other schools were doing.
When we first came in terms of our first experience of training with Hove Park, it was actually myself addressing the entire school, addressing all the staff, about 200 of them. And basically the idea was to run a session called an Inspire session, like a showcase of kind of different aspects and ideas, and the idea being just to enthuse them and to plant little seeds of their own in terms of how they could use it in their classrooms with their individuals and their students.
Some people really pushed ahead with it, and then other groups of staff were a little bit more apprehensive and needed a bit more support, and Craig has come in and done more kind of small group and even one-to-one stuff with us, particularly for iTunes U.
iTunes U is an amazing free service from Apple, and basically what iTunes U allows you to do is, from a teaching perspective, is take all of your resources in a digital format. Now the concept being for a teacher, it's amazing because you can provide students with all of your stuff in one easily accessible destination, and then for students all they need is the iTunes U app. They can then access all that course content and that material on their own device at any time, allowing students to collate and think about their ideas before they even start the lessons.
As a department in science, we saw some of our best results this year. And for Year 10, they had their iPads during that term before they did their exam, and we saw really good results from their year group.
I found that the iPad has made revision a lot easier. So here's a little animation that we did about fractional distillation in science. These kind of apps help us to break down processes into steps, so more likely to kind of remember that because it was quite fun to do.
The immediacy of assessment information flowing back to the teacher within the lesson is very, very powerful. And we've got parental engagement.
The fact that it's on the iPad and within a minute we're looking through this book is something about how quick that is. I think for parents it just means you can dip into things more easily.
We have achieved what we set out to achieve, and in some ways much more. You know, you've got to have somebody who can help you achieve that vision and get the timeline right and get the communication strands right. And that was really helpful with JTRS. And they helped shape the vision. You know, there was a real resonance. And that was really important for us because it wasn't about providing kit in boxes. It's all about the learning. And therefore, you've got to have a partner that understands that.